What's up YouTube? It's your boy Nash here. Welcome back to the channel. Now before we get started with today's video, the road to 200 subs has now come to a close and we are now 203 subs away from hitting 500 subs. And if you guys are new to the channel, and I know that a lot of you guys are, because practically 100% of you guys are watching the content, excuse me, but you guys are not even subscribed. So if you guys are watching the content, you like the content, and you want more of the content, but you guys haven't subscribed as of yet, then be sure to subscribe to the channel, turn on the notification bell, smash that thumbs up button on this video, and as always, make sure you guys are following me on all of my social media. All of my ads will be in the description below, as will the info to my fan mail. It will also be in the description as well. And I want you guys to post in the comments below, answering the question of the day, which is this: who would you guys like to see get inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame someday? Let me know down in the comments below. And for today's video, we actually have something very interesting to talk about, and it's something that's been bugging me for a minute, for the past few days or so. So WWE announced that they were going to be inducting iconic matches into the Hall of Fame, and this year's inductee, if you will, is the match from WrestleMania 13, the infamous submission match between Stone Cold Steve Austin and Bret the Hitman Hart. Here's something that has been bugging me for a while now, because I watched WrestleMania 13 when I had it on DVD, and just watching the card, watching each match minute by minute was very it was very I wouldn't say it was lackluster, but I will say that it was very very interesting, to say the very least. So there was a so there were a grand total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There were 8 matches on the card. One of them was part of a part of a show that they did called Free for All, which I guess was like a prelude to what the fans could expect for WrestleMania. But that match featured Billy Gunn against Flash Funk, or I guess Too Cold Scorpio would be the more appropriate term. One-on-one. It was it was a one-on-one match, and Billy Gunn ended up pinning Flash Funk. Then of course, then you had the fatal 4-way elimination to determine who would challenge the WWE Tag Team titles, which I believe at that time was actually none other than Owen Hart and the British Bulldog. At that time, and I will say, watching the Fatal 4-Way, right? I mean, you had Mosh and Thrasher, the Headbangers. You had Henry O, Phineas I, the Godwins, in that match. You had Blackjack Bradshaw and Blackjack Wyndham, the new Blackjacks, and I think you had as well. Let's see. And then you also had this other team of Doug and Phil, Doug Furness, Phil LaFawn, um, known as the Can-Am Express was their team name. Then of course you had the Rock versus the Sultan for the Intercontinental title. You had Triple H versus Goldust, which was very interesting to say the very least. You had again the aforementioned Owen Hart and the British Bulldog against Mankind Invader, which is very interesting. Then of course, and then you have the aforementioned submission match. This was very interesting because this was actually this was like a huge first for WrestleMania, having a submission match um at WrestleMania, and this was and this ended via a referee stoppage, meaning Ken Shamrock as the special guest referee literally just stopped the match when Stone Cold Steve Austin could not respond after being put in the sharpshooter for at least three, 4, maybe 5 minutes at best. It was pretty crazy. Then of course, and then of course you had the infamous Chicago Street Fight that featured Ahmed Johnson and the Legion of Doom, defeating the Nation of Domination's Farouk, Crush, and Savio Vega, which also had Clarence Mason, D'Lo Brown, JC Ice, and Wolfie D as ringside, which it was that match alone, which is absolutely insane. And then the main event, the WWE title, Psycho Sid, Undertaker, we all know. Here's what I find interesting about the match between Bret Hart and Stone Cold. This was a rivalry that went back months. This went back months, dating back to I think Survivor Series. It dated back to sometime in '96, and the rivalry just went above and beyond what the fans were expecting. But this was actually the first time that these two were going to meet at WrestleMania, and this was actually the only time, actually, because this was the year that Bret Hart got caught in the crosshairs of a rivalry involving Shawn Michaels and The Undertaker, which forced the Montreal Screwjob, and we all know about that. We all know about the infamous Montreal Screwjob. I will say, the match was pretty insane. It was pretty solid, and it showcased how far Stone Cold Steve Austin was willing to go to try to win a match. He was the type of guy who would not quit on himself or his fans, and he had a much bigger fan base at that point rather than Bret Hart. But here's one thing that boggles my mind. What boggles my mind is that they're putting this match in the Hall of Fame. They could have chosen, and no offense to both Stone Cold and Bret Hart, but they could have chose any other match in WWE history. They could have chosen they could have chosen what's a good one? what's a good one? They could have chose Randy Savage versus Ricky Steamboat, or they could have chosen Triple H versus Undertaker at WrestleMania 17, or maybe even at WrestleMania 28. They could have chosen Shawn Michaels versus Undertaker at WrestleMania 25. There are so many other matches, and actually, to piss off a few fans out there, they could have WWE could have also chose Hulk Hogan versus Andre the Giant, or Hogan versus Rock, or maybe even also Rock versus Austin. They could have chose any of those matches, but they chose Bret Hart versus Stone Cold, and I think it's apprehended that they would do that, considering that this would be a first for WWE. The first time ever that someone is getting inducted into the Hall of Fame 3 times. And Bret Hart is indeed that guy. The first induction was back in 2006, which I did not expect. I did not think, even from the Montreal Screwjob, and from what happened to Owen Hart, I never would have thought that Bret Hart would show up to conduct his Hall of Fame speech, which is absolutely wild, absolutely wild. Um, and then the second time, and that was just him as a solo act. The second time, that was back in 2019. Um, as part of the Hart Foundation with Jim the Anvil Neidhart, and obviously Natalia took took her father's spot in his honor, which let's be real here, that 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 fan assault on Bret Hart, that guy deserves to there's a special place in hell for that guy. But this would actually be the third Hall of Fame induction for Bret Hart, and it's huge. It is absolutely huge, absolutely historic. And I think at this point now, it now comes down to, is this a good idea? Is it a good idea to induct matches into the Hall of Fame? And honestly, I think it is. I think it's a great idea, but at the same time, it will have its drawbacks. And one of the biggest drawbacks is, let's say they did induct one of Hulk Hogan's matches into the Hall of Fame. With all the bullshit that Hogan has gone through within the last, like, what, maybe year, last, like, what, year and a half at best. There's no denying that there is not one fan who would watch the Hall of Fame at home. There's not one person who would be able to listen to his speech because of how many boos Hulk Hogan would receive from the fans in whatever city that they are in. That right there, in my opinion, is the biggest downside. But it makes sense that they would bring matches into the Hall of Fame, because those matches are what shaped professional wrestling forever. Those are the type of matches that what shaped wrestling to what it is now, including this submission match. And this was actually the match that again that not only made Stone Cold Steve Austin a star, but it also made Bret Hart look like the villain in the story of Bret Hart leaving WWE for WCW, which if you guys had not watched my full in-depth review of the Vince McMahon Netflix docu-series, I recommend you guys check it out, because that docu-series showcased so shit, a lot of a lot of bullshit that Vince McMahon did, including all the lawsuits that they dealt with involving um involving sexual misconduct, sexual assault, drugs. Guys, if you guys had not seen that video that I did, I recommend you guys watch it. It is insane. I will say though, this match again was basically a double turn. Austin ended up turning babyface at this point. Bret Hart ended up turning heel, and that was when he went on to become WWE champion. I think for what, a fifth time, if my memory serves right. If my memory serves right, I believe it would make it hit. That would have been, I think so. I'm not entirely sure. I actually want to see something. Here we are. Let's see. 86. Let's see. Feud with Stone Cold. Here we are. This might help. This should help me out. Mania 13. Here we are. The Montreal Screwjob. Um. Okay, so apparently, Bret Hart actually signed a 3-year deal with WCW, which is absolutely insane. And this was around the time that Bret Hart was looking to become, I believe, a 5-time WWE champ. I think a 5-time WWE champion, if I'm not mistaken. Let me check. Let's go WWE. Yeah, 5 times. Yeah. So his last WWE championship reign before the Montreal Screwjob would make it his 5th WWE title, which is awesome. And again, it's what sparked the Montreal Screwjob, was him being in a heated rivalry with Stone Cold, reuniting the Hart Foundation and having that infamous submission match. So I mean, again, the idea of having matches get inducted is awesome, but again, it does have its drawbacks, and the biggest drawback is obviously the fan reaction, right? Like, what are the fans gonna say on social media about certain matches getting their Hall of Fame induction? Whether it could be Hogan versus Rock, excuse me, whether it's Cena versus Shawn Michaels, or Triple H and The Undertaker. There are so many historic matches throughout history, that those were the matches that shaped professional wrestling as it is now. And I think, again, it's awesome. It's a good idea. But I honestly think that Bret Hart versus Stone Cold should not have been the first induction. If anything, I feel like it should have been John Cena versus The Rock. And the only reason why I believe that is because that match alone is what shaped John Cena to be in the position that he is now. Having just won his final elimination chamber and being able to finally main event WrestleMania. But the question is now, which night? Is it going to be night 1? Is it going to be night 2? No one knows. No one knows, because we now know that the triple threat match between CM Punk, Roman Reigns, and Seth Rollins is also going to main event WrestleMania. But so it's hard to say which night it's gonna be. My honest opinion, I think Cena's match is gonna main event night 2, and the triple threat main event night 1, which could have implications for night 2. Very possible, but we'll have to wait and see. But again, there are so many other matches that could have been inducted. But I think this was a smart decision on Triple H's part, because there were so many matches throughout WWE's history that could have main evented WrestleMania, or not main evented WrestleMania. No, that could have gotten their Hall of Fame induction. I think Hart versus Austin was definitely one of them, but there were so many others that could have gotten their induction. And again, aside from Cena and Rock, one that I truly believe deserves it, John Cena and Shawn Michaels. I think that plus Rock versus Cena, definitely two matches that deserve their flowers. But as the old saying goes, there's always next year. And with that being said, that will do it for today's video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. If you did, make sure you guys smash that thumbs up button. If you guys are new to the channel and you guys want more WWE topic videos in the future, then make sure you guys subscribe to the channel, turn on the notification bell, and as always, make sure you guys are following me on all of my social media. All of my ads will be in the description below, as will the info to my fan mail. It will also be in the description as well. And on that, this is your boy Nash, signing out.